Next up is 26 Charter Street, Daniel Toscano.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Thank you for having me. For the record, my name is Dan Toscano, attorney at law. I have a law office located at 62B Commercial Wharf East, Boston, Mass. 02110. And I'm here on behalf of Michael and Fran Pergola, who own 26 Charter Street. And we're seeking your support today to remove the existing head house that's on the roof. There's actually there's a head house and a shed on the roof. Remove them, add 300 square feet of living space, and add a roof deck on top of the new existing living space. This is an owner-occupied building. It's 3 residential units. Currently, it's 38 feet high. With the addition, we'll go up 10 feet to 48 feet, so it's below the 55-foot height requirement here in the North End neighborhood. As I said, Mike and Fran owned this property for 3 years. They're raising 3 young girls here in the neighborhood, a family that children go to the Elliott School here on Charter Street, family that participates in all our activities here in the neighborhood, whether it's NEMPAC, whether it's the Mazzaro Center, whether it's our sporting activities, soccer, baseball, etc. They are very much involved in our neighborhood. Right now, the 3 residential units, 2 of them are rented out. Fran and Mike occupy the top 2 floors, which is approximately 1,400 square feet. And with 3 young girls, they need some more space. So this is a perfect opportunity to go up 1 story, eliminate the 2 head houses that are on the existing roof, create approximately 300 square feet of living space that they desperately need. There'll be exclusive use of the owner-occupant, add a roof deck on top. So the plans, I'll explain them to you. So add the new living space on the roof, which is approximately 300 square feet of living space. There'll be a front balcony with railings to the roof edge, which is approximately 10 feet in width. It goes out, it's in an angle, so it goes up a little further, maybe about 22 feet long. There's going to be a stairwell on that existing balcony that go up to the new private roof deck. That's the exclusive use of the owner. So with that said, we have our hearing scheduled for June 17th at the ZBA, and we've talked to some of our neighbors. Doesn't appear to be any opposition to this. There's been extensive outreach to neighborhood. The notices that you have on top has been sent out to about 100 residents in the area on Charter Street, Union Street, etc. I think you'll see on the back page there's a number of signatures, and it's one of those things where we could have went out about 50 to 100 signatures from people here in the neighborhood that want to see young families here grow and stay in the neighborhood. But what we did, the significance of those signatures, the majority of them are young families that are here in the neighborhood, that have young children that are staying and staying in the neighborhood, growing up in the neighborhood, investing in our neighborhood, and this is what this young family wants to do. So we're respectfully requesting your support tonight. And so I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
The spiral staircase, is that enclosed or is that outside?
No, it'll be outside.
Is that-
So you will exit onto, there'll be doors, a door or sliding glass door, whatever. You'll enter onto the balcony, and then there'll be private stairwell right to the top for the roof deck.
I haven't seen that before. Is that
Yeah.
kind of like a same material as like a fire escape, or how's that going to work?
In terms of material, we're in the process of picking materials and colors. We need to go before BRA design review, and we also, since we're within 100 feet of a park, which is the Charter Street Park, we need to go to park review. And with my experience, it's hard to pick a color, pick materials before you go before the design reviews, because they have their own, I guess, suggestions. So we'll probably wait. And we won't go for parks there until we go after the ZBA hearing.
Is the building already sprinkled? Are they going to sprinkle for
The building is not sprinkled, and it's probably not required, but unless the plans examiner says anything, but we've submitted our long form application. The denial letter does not say that we need to sprinkle the building. The building, in order, under the new code, you need to add sprinklers when you change the occupancy of the building. You're not changing the occupancy of the building. So any buildings that have, that are not sprinkled today, if you're changing the occupancy, say to a 4 to a 5, you need to sprinkle the building. We're not changing the occupancy,
Or if you're going up to about 70 feet, which you can't in the neighborhood.
which we can in the neighborhood anyway. Next year.
You said that spiral staircases on the outside,
Correct.
they have small children. Right. Is there going to be a gate there? So that the
I'm
children
sure there'll be
can
some
walk
safety
in?
gates, but there's definitely railings to roof edge around the balcony and the roof deck, of course.
Any other questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Joyce?
Joyce Stevens from Cleveland Place. Dan, I just have a question about the roof deck railings, because it was my understanding that code requires that there be a setback of several feet, and you can't have the railings right at the roof edge. And I know that because 14 Cleveland Place is redoing theirs and has to set it back.
That's why we had put in the zoning request for the Board of Appeals to have railings to the roof edge, and there's been precedent in the neighborhood that there are a number of roof decks with railings to roof edge. I expect I'm gonna get some pushback from BRA and Parks, but our request is to roof edge to make them maximize our space. But if we have to push it in within 36 inches, I believe might be the requirement, we'll comply with what the BRA and Parks tells us to do. But our request is to roof edge.
Good, thanks.
Would that interfere with the spiral staircase?
Would not.
Would not.
Yeah, I apologize. Would the railings interfere with it? I don't believe so, because they'll all be within the railing.
Any other questions?
How long, if everything's approved, will construction?
I think Michael Del Russo is the one that's going to be doing the work, and you know, he's said it would probably be about 6 weeks worth of work. That may change depending on things, but that's sort of what he's.
Right, so 6 weeks, if we have our hearing on June 17th, which we do, you're looking at, by the time the ZBA, if approved, ZBA approval, maybe August, you can probably be ready for a permit, and 6 weeks from there, certainly don't want to get into the winter.
Doug Bowen, Flynn 15 Charter Street. I live kitty corner from them, and my daughter loves playing with their daughter because they're two days apart. I will say that they have so dramatically improved that corner of the neighborhood by being residents. We had a lot of problems with people who lived there before, and they came in and sort of cleaned it up like a new sheriff in town. And the building doesn't quite align with the building next to it, and actually structurally it will probably be much more aesthetically pleasing for people coming up Charter Street or out of the park as well, to have the addition on top to match up better with the rest of the neighborhood. And I don't mind any noise if they're doing construction.
Anybody else?
I got a question. It's nothing to do with construction. As you continue to invest in the neighborhood, and as I see many young couples invest in the neighborhood, which I'm thrilled about, are you willing to embrace the North End for what the North End is? Or are you hoping that your footprint would bring change to the neighborhood?
I mean, I think in general, I've lived in the North End 18 years, so I've lived here for a fairly long time for some of the newer, younger couples that are in the neighborhood. And I love the neighborhood the way it is, to be honest. I mean, I think that there are things that are happening in the neighborhood which are good. You know, I think that oftentimes one of the challenges is that, you know, I think sometimes students and things like that can be more problematic. I think what we're trying to do is to be a family that's going to raise our children here, is going to live here. We don't want to rent. You know, we're not looking to add a unit to, you know, generate more revenue for our family. You know, we want to be a family in the North End. I mean, we came here. I moved here 18 years ago. My wife, we've been here 10 years now. You know, we've really embraced every part of the neighborhood. So that's kind of what we want to do. Is we want to continue to live in the neighborhood that we've always lived in for a long time.
Thank you.
A little bit more room. Get out of our way.
Thank you. I need someplace to watch the Bruins games.
Is there a motion?
Can I make a motion to support?
Do you want to clarify what the motion is?
Yeah, can I make a motion to support the addition to 26 Charter Street of 300 square feet of living space with a deck in the front of the building and above the structure, not to exceed the height of 48 feet as described on the plans. I make a motion to support it.
And I'll second it.
All in favor? Any against? Passed.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Up next is support of Napoli Rigoletto, 115.
Good evening again. We're here to report back to you since our meeting with you in March on some of the outreach work we have done in an effort to really get our proposal moving forward and to make an appearance at the Zoning Board of Appeal on May 20th. We did actually seek a deferral and we were up on March 25th, so at their request we could do a little bit more outreach. What I have handed to the board are two things. One is a letter of agreement that we sent to the 44 Prince Street Condo Association. We had met with them on March 25th. Paul Valentine was one of the people who I basically communicated with on behalf of the Board of Trustees. So we met with them at 44 Prince Street. They were notified by the manager, Barbara, by email with a notice from us regarding the upcoming meetings with this group, but also the fact that that my clients were seeking their support for the relief they're requesting at the Zoning Board of Appeal. So, as a result of that, let me just say that the concerns they had primarily were for noise and light that might emanate from this restaurant unit, because the rear of 44 Prince Street, at least a portion of the units, face the rear of this restaurant. So the big concern was for noise and light. We had discussions about that after we obviously gave them a presentation on who these people are, kind of operation they would like to run, and the menu that they are proposing. And ultimately what we agreed to was that assuming that we get the support, the approval of the City of Boston and any other approvals that are necessary, we would, in agreement with them, either board up or brick up the rear windows so that there would actually be no light, no noise, if in fact there were any at all, emanating from that area, which is where the kitchen is going to be. And if that doesn't work because of safety issues with any of the city departments or whatever, then we would look at the installation of these Harvey windows that have adjustable shutters. They're non-operable, so they don't really open up, and they would really mitigate any noise or light that might emanate from the kitchen. We also explained to them what the exhaust system would look like, what the design would look like, how it would run up the building, etc. And one of the things I requested was that the ductwork be actually painted the same color as the brickwork so that it would blend in with the rest of the rear. They were concerned that somehow the lattice wall that they have to the rear of their garden would be implicated in this installation, but it isn't, because it's not going to run behind that lattice work. It's going to run actually through the ceiling in the kitchen, up onto the roof of the second floor, if you will, roof, and then over a parapet, and then up the building, onto the center of the building, or not quite the center, because it's going to be situated so that there's at least a 10-foot clearance around the fan system, which is sitting on a base, so that the noise, if any, and the odor, if any, would be blown away from the building. They seem to be satisfied with that, and obviously they were concerned about cleaning of the equipment, etc., which we know that the Boston Fire Department and the Inspection Services Department requires quarterly cleaning of those exhaust systems and inspections of all commercial cooking goods. So, we would certainly be in compliance with that. We notified them again of the meetings coming up. We did notify them that the last meetings were postponed and that this meeting and the newer meeting was rescheduled. And so we do believe that we have met the concerns that were raised earlier. And in addition to that, I presented to the board a letter that I wrote on April 1st, the Boston Licensing Board, informing them of the status of the place, which is that it's closed. but that, you know, we were continuing to meet with your group as well as NEWNC, and that we had agreed that if this were approved by the zoning board of appeal, we would submit to a proviso that indicated that we would serve beer and wine only in conjunction with food. So that letter is in your possession right now. You know, we hope that you can find this satisfactory because it has been about a year since this place was closed. And it's been very difficult for them, and I know that you have a lot of concerns, and I've heard a lot of, you know, the concerns and sentiment of the neighborhood tonight from the other presentations and from your own presentations in terms of positions on the board. So I understand that fully, but we really, they have a willingness to be part of this community and to comply with all of those sort of measures that make them a profitable but also a responsible restaurant for the neighborhood. So I hope that you can see fit to support their request tonight. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll certainly take them.
I'll start. The letter about serving only in conjunction with food,
Yep.
is that binding, or are they gonna put that on your license, or do you have to have some sort of hearing on a licensing board to get that on?
Well, you know, I did call the attorney for the licensing board to explain what was going on, that there would be somewhat, there would be change obviously with the installation of kitchen equipment. It's kind of primarily in the same place it was before, but there's more equipment. And also that the bar, you know, the bar with the seating that was always there might switch over to the other side of the room. So in effect, it seemed to me like it was a change in the description of the premises, which then would warrant a hearing before the board. She wasn't quite sure of it. She said when the time came, submit a letter, an application, they would look at it. But I think what we're willing to do is say that whether or not there was a hearing, we would ask the board. I mean, I don't know if they would administratively honor our request that we would be willing to submit to a proviso, but certainly we would make it. But, you know, it's sort of one of those gray areas where, because it's not a substantial change in the description of the premises, she wasn't quite sure, but I think it might be.
It is a substantial change on the description of the premises because it's going from being a coffee shop to being a restaurant. Am I correct?
Yeah, but that's from a zoning perspective. From a licensing perspective, they have a common victual license, so.
Yeah, but you're going from serving pastries with beer or a cordial, coffee with a cordial, which would not require actually food, to serving, having a restaurant, a kitchen, a bar, and alcoholic beverages. Most of the restaurants in the neighborhood are required to serve alcohol with food.
Yeah, it's been, I think, a basic sort of a position of the board that they prefer that.
Yeah, and if they're gonna have to change, if you're gonna change the premises, they're gonna have to change the description of the license. If they have to change the description of the license, you can easily ask them to have put that in. And if they don't, it will be a change on the standard they have held for the rest of the community. The one thing that I want to make clear and make the point of is that the reason why this project has taken a year has nothing to do with the neighborhood. It has all to do with your client and the way that they went about doing things. We did not put the stop work order on the front of the store. We didn't tell them to build without a permit. We didn't do any of those things. The things are taking place, and it's taking this long, not because of the process, because the process wasn't embraced.
I won't comment because I agree, and I think they acknowledge
No, I'm just saying that because
But there are also
to use-
issues with the city of
No,
Boston.
no, I understand, but to
that
use the
sometimes
fact that
delay
it's
things.
taken a year as weight on a decision, when we had nothing to do with the fact
Oh,
that it's
yeah,
a
I
year.
don't mean it
When
because-
they first applied, we heard their case, and there was a lot of facts that were not facts presented, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. The reason why they're in this predicament is because they put themselves in this predicament. We didn't put them there.
Well, let me tell you, they have tried mightily over the last 6 to 7 months to do the right thing. So I hope, and when I came on board, you know, clearly I'd worked with the city before, I'd worked with neighborhood groups before, and I knew that it could have had a start out of the gate than it did. So I hope that up to now, we've kind of righted some of the wrongs that have been done.
Yeah, and we hope that, given the opportunity, they will act in a fashion that reflects how we all, the rest of us, act in the community when it comes to running our businesses, you know, and follow the protocol required. This is a neighborhood of very congested living quarters and businesses, and if we follow the rules, we can go ahead and all live in harmony. If we don't follow the rules, we do have the situations in which you are, you know.
That's what we're trying to do, follow the rules. At the beginning, we were misrepresented by the other attorneys, so we are new in the community that we don't know what's going on.
Attorneys don't build, and, you know, attorneys don't build without permits, attorneys give advice only. So what I'm saying is, again, if you want to be a participant in our community, you need to follow the rules, because the rest of us follow the rules.
We understand that.
Thank you.
Understand that.
Any other questions from the board? What about from the audience? Paul, you just wanted to say something?
We're fine. 44 Prince is fine.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to support.
Support Sapporo Di Napoli, 115 Salem Street, seeking zoning relief to allow for the installation of restaurant and kitchen equipment.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, congratulations.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
I appreciate it. My name is Paul Gibbs. I'm representing Alexander Martin, owner and operator of a juice and smoothie takeout restaurant called The Juicery. He has one location currently in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and he's looking at the space formerly occupied by Di Pasquale Pasta Shop on 66A Cross Street next to basically Citizens Bank and Bread and Butter. The space is currently vacant. It's roughly 650 square feet. And Alex is proposing a takeout-only, all-natural juice bar. I hate to say a bar, but a juice restaurant with natural smoothies. So it would be grass drinks, vegetable drinks, fruit drinks, and smoothies. Takeout only. Basically, the layout would be very similar to what was there, except the counter coming perpendicular to the window. You walk in, order your drink, and walk out and be on your way to the north end or across into the financial district.
There's no seats?
No seats inside or outside.
Can you tell us a little bit about the neighborhood notification that you did?
I sent out a notification last week, early last week. I sent it out to the tenants in the same building, as well as letters and to abutters, as well as dropping off flyers into the adjacent buildings, common areas, doorways, tenant buildings.
Any other questions?
Are these juices made like in-house or are they already?
Yes, they are. And,
They're made to order?
Yep, they're made to order. The juice is all organic. And I try to source local ingredients whenever possible.
What will the hours be?
We're proposing on the flyer and for the hearings for licensing, which actually imposes the hours, I'd be looking at 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. only because, and not that he would open those hours, only because in the event that he was getting requests to open earlier or stay open later, I think it's probably closing by 9 and opening around 10 in the morning.
Portsmouth, it's 7 to 7, so give you an idea, but it might be 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I've had the issue in other restaurants or takeout restaurants in Boston where we've had 10 o'clock closing and then they've had a hospital nearby who's wanted deliveries until 1. And I had to come back in front of the neighborhood again within a year or two. And I'd rather be honest and say, here's the overall hours we'd be proposing. Most likely starting out is going to be less than that. But it won't exceed 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
2 quick questions. I also assume that the organic vegan food portion of the menu?
There will be no sandwiches made on premises. He may have some sandwiches prepared in Portsmouth or purchased locally to sell to go, but he wouldn't be making sandwiches or food. There's no kitchen in place. There's no kitchen, no cooking, no toasters, no microwaves, no panini presses.
Are these like, so this is organic vegan food, it's not gonna be?
That portion of the menu is
So it's just gonna be strictly drinks?
just mostly drinks and maybe a little like to-go granola bars, quinoa salads, just about.
Where you gonna make
healthy.
those?
What's that?
Where you gonna make
If I made those, I'd make them in Portsmouth, at my location in Portsmouth.
But that's also going to be approved by the health department
So that's
as well. So that's a.
The second quick question I had is, not that Portsmouth is right around the corner, I know it's 50 to 60 miles away approximately. What made you choose the north end? Obviously you were looking at the Boston area, or more specifically the city. of all the neighborhoods, I was just curious what drew you here as opposed to at least one other neighborhood in the city.
Well, I feel like in Portsmouth, the local clientele is really what's kept my business going. I started it 6 years ago, so I've been doing it for a long time, and I've really got a good base of the locals in the area. They come back every day, and they get in the habit of, you know, getting it before they go to work or after they work out. So I'm not just looking for like a lunch rush. I really want like the people in the area to get into, you know, the juicing and the drinking the smoothies and healthy food and embrace that. And I've seen that that's definitely helped me out in Portsmouth, just having all the locals come to my business.
Did you look at other neighborhoods in the city, or were you only looking at the North End or City?
So yeah, I looked in the North End. I glanced in like the South End, the financial district, but this was like just really great exposure. And I think you know, there's a lot of traffic, and smoothies are, you know, a great you know, walk by thing. You know, you see it and you buy it, you know, essentially. So you need a lot of traffic.
So
there's a lot
plans
of
to do
traffic.
any like outdoor seating or anything like that?
No.
Did you say anything about your seating?
No outdoor seating.
What kind of signage?
There is some proposed signage that I sent to you. I'm not sure if it's on the slide or not.
No.
Did you bring a
Yeah.
copy with you? It's very simple signage. The colors are a little different, but basically the storefront's not changing outside of just adding a signage.
Any other questions? Any other?
How you doing?
Got a question? All right.
Why do you have to
What's your
apply
name?
for Damien DiPaolo,
Where do you
local
live?
businessman? Why do you need a variance?
Takeout food is conditional,
Okay.
so it has to go in front of the ZBA, and one thing we're looking for is your support, is we would like to get an at-risk permit to open before the ZBA process is totally complete.
And you doing raw juices or pasteurized?
Raw, so it's just made and the customer takes it out and drinks it.
So you're gonna bottle them and put them in?
No, not right now.
Made to order?
No bottle.
Yeah, everything's made to order. There's gonna be nothing prepared or manufactured on site to be resold later.
Any other questions?
So you're looking to get a special permit to open earlier? Is that what you're saying?
It would be in the city of Boston, an at-risk permit to allow us to open before the final ZBA process is
So when
over.
did you want to open?
Prefer to open sometime in the summer, hopefully mid-July.
That's what the asking for.
That's what we'd be asking for, somewhere around that time. We're meeting with your other organization, your sister organization, at the end of the month in early June. I just applied to the ZBA today. They usually take a little while to get a hearing, so I'm not anticipating a hearing for at least 2 months.
Just to clarify, we're more like cousins that don't get along with each other.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Sometimes I try not to say that, I didn't know how else to phrase that one.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to support 66A Cross Street, the juicery, Alex Vandermark applying for zoning relief to open a juice store in the former location of Divas Wally Pasta Shop.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, congratulations.
Thank you very much.